Hey everybody, welcome back to TechOdyssey. So today I'm here with my full review of the Samsung Galaxy Book Pro 360. Now, I did my initial impressions unboxing. I've had it for a week, things I don't like, what was Samsung thinking. This is a more refined and comprehensive review of my experience with the laptop. I've been using this a lot over the last 2 weeks. A lot of daily driver stuff, doing a full work day on it. I've edited a video on it and some other stuff. So I think that now I'm in a pretty good spot to talk to you about the things that I think are good and the things that I think are not good. But overall, I do like it. I've been enjoying it, and I think it's a pretty solid laptop. We're going to talk about it. But before we do, I do want to say if this is your first time stopping by the channel, thank you for being here. If you enjoy the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. Now, let's talk about the Galaxy Book Pro 360. So the first thing I want to talk about is the battery life. Battery life, I think, is pretty good. It says you can get like 21 hours on it, and I don't really even know how that's possible. I'm getting 6.5 to 8 hours, no problem, before I have to plug it in. So I think you can probably expect that if you're using it kind of maxed out. If you turn on battery saving measures, if you put it into power saving mode, if you turn it down some, turn the brightness down, there are ways you can extend it and get longer battery life, but who's going to use it with the brightness turned all the way down? I mean, you're just not going to do that. So with normal power settings, I unplugged it, just used it on the battery. I didn't have any problems whatsoever. I mean, I can get 6, 7, 8 hours. It's pretty good. So I have no complaints there. And you might be thinking, oh, that's not great battery life. Well, when you sit there with the screen on and you work the whole time and you're getting basically a work day out of it, I think that that's pretty good. So especially from something this thin. It's super, super thin. It weighs barely 3 pounds. It's really light. So battery life is good, especially for the size. I do like the dimensions. I think it's got plenty of ports for connectivity. This is a laptop after all. This is not a desktop. If you need to use it in a desktop configuration, you can always get a dock of some sort. You can get a dongle. You can get an external adapter that has more ports and slots on it. You've got the SD card slot. You've got a USB-C. And then over here, you got a Thunderbolt and a USB-C, so you can use that. One thing I do like is you can plug the charging cable in on either side. It will allow you to charge it. They kind of stole that one from Apple. I like that they did. That's really nice because sometimes it's like you're in a position where you really need the charger to be on the right side, or you're really in a position you need the charger on the left side. So being able to swap it back and forth is good. The only thing I wish it had was an HDMI out, whether it's a micro, mini, whatever. I wish it had HDMI out. That would be really nice. It does have display out through the USB-C connector, which I did connect it to an external monitor. You can do that. It works like a champ, and you can even scale it up to 4K resolution. So, talking about resolution, that's a point of contention I have with this laptop. As beautiful as the screen is, nice Super AMOLED display, a laptop that's more like a phone, and in some regards it is. I mean, it's nice, it's really cool being able to have some of the Samsung features and to be able to send files over and to switch and set up your device. I think it's a little oversold. I really wasn't that impressed with it. Being able to connect your phone to the PC, you could do that with other Windows PCs already. So yeah, it pulls up a little emulation on the screen and you can see your phone. And then you get a bunch of notifications on your desktop that you can respond to, which just kind of works. It's not the fastest in the world, but hey, it's there, it works. You get that level of connectivity. I heard other reviewers saying that, they're finally making a step on getting on the same level as Apple. They're nowhere near the same level. This is like Little League compared to like professional baseball players. Yeah, they're in the same ballpark, but they don't have the same skill set and they don't have the same size. They're not playing on the same playing field, if you know what I'm talking about, regardless of the analogy for the baseball diamond. It's not there. Is it good for Samsung? Has it improved? Yes, it's very nice. I do enjoy the interface and how it works. So the screen, 1920 by 1080, full HD plus resolution. It looks good. Well, I wish you could scale it up to 4K, and I know why they turned it down. It's because they don't want to burn up the battery life, and you have to get a certain amount of battery life to get in on that Intel's Evo program. There's certain requirements that they have to meet. It does meet those requirements. That's cool. It gets the battery life, portability, all that good stuff, but it really needed 4K, or at least Quad HD plus, 2K, whatever you want to call it. The screen itself looks good, but when you start doing a lot of stuff, it gets kind of cramped. And the way to kind of alleviate some of that, go into the theme settings and adjust it and make the text smaller, and it will make it'll make it where it looks like you're able to do more on the screen. It's kind of condensed and smaller as opposed to big and bubbly. That'll help you out a lot. So turn that text size down. That'll make life better for you when you're using it, but still, it should have 4K resolution. It's a desktop, essentially. I mean, it's a laptop. It's a computer. So if you're on battery mode, maybe have an idea or an option where you can have it on 1080p when you're on battery mode, but when you plug it in, it goes up to 4K. There's no reason when this computer's plugged in, it shouldn't be displaying a 4K resolution. It would be really nice. So that's just a personal pet peeve I have with this. Most everybody knows you can make the resolution bigger or smaller for your computer. So I think they should have put that option in here. You should be able to scale it to 4K, especially when it supports 4K, because you can plug in the extra monitor and get 4K. So, end rant. It's nice. It could be brighter. It's perfectly fine when you're working inside. If there is some light coming in through the window, you're not going to have any issues. If you take it out in direct sunlight, yes, you're going to have issues. I talked about this in my other video. That's just the way that it is. The screen will reflect the light and it will make it harder for you to see. Now, if you had a better brightness on the screen, you could. But the problem is they're going for the most battery life they can get out of this one unit. So, and you look at this laptop, yeah, they could probably make more brightness come out of the panel, but then you're talking about a bigger reduction in battery life. So it's like they worked with this small formula. If you've ever seen the movie Apollo 13 and you saw Gary Sinise, he was the backup pilot that didn't get to go because he had never had measles or whatever it was. I can't remember what it was, but he was in the simulator trying to figure out exactly how much power he could get out of the lunar module so that they could come back to Earth safely, because if they blew it, then they wouldn't have enough battery. That's how I feel with this laptop. I feel like they tried to give you just enough in every little area, but it could have been better in certain areas, especially when it's plugged in. Would you, like, have a laptop profile and have a pseudo desktop profile? I think that would have helped. The webcam is utter trash. I mean, I'm just joking there. I mean, by my standards, it's not good. By 2021 standards, it's not good. Will it work? Yes. Can you use it? Yes. Do the microphones work? Yeah, it works fine. You can talk, people can hear you. That's great. It works perfectly fine whenever you're doing video conferencing, doing your Zoom stuff, doing your FaceTime stuff. I mean, not Apple, but you know, anything that's face-to-face software and you're talking to somebody, you can do your video conference calls, no problem. The speakers, they're not that great. There are certain instances where they shine better than others, just depending on what's playing, but they should have been better. They've got these small speakers on the bottom. One, they're downward firing. They should have put them on the keyboard deck up at the top so that you could actually hear them better, as opposed to having these tiny little speakers here that point downward and the sound comes out the bottom. I mean, look at this. Look at these speaker ports. They're not that great. Now you've got the big ventilation port on the bottom. It does heat really well. I mean, it doesn't get hot well. It manages heat really well. I haven't had any problems with it. The fan will kick on whenever it starts getting warm. If you try to play a game, if you do some video editing, if you've been working for a little while on stuff, it'll kick in every once in a while, kind of cool things off and then turn back off. It doesn't really run all the time. I found it perfectly acceptable. I come from a world though where I've had gaming laptops a lot previously that are always like working next to a jetliner because they run so much and so loud. This one I thought was pretty discreet as far as the fan goes. It's better than the MacBook Pro 16-inch 2019 model. So if you're familiar with that and how loud it gets, this is better. So that's good. So screen's good, battery's good, webcam sucks, sound sucks. The sound is good enough. They're manageable. For most people who are not a tech computer nerd like me, you may not even notice. Like probably 50% of you will use it and be like, oh, this sounds good. Yeah, that's cool. And the other 50% of you will be like, well, it's not the greatest in the world, but the overall computer performance is so good, I don't care. And then, you know, I got 100% there, but the few extra percentage people like me will gripe about it. And I think that's what Samsung was aiming for. I think they realized that if they put out just a good enough product, they'll make everybody happy enough to sell it and make it really good as far as kind of an industry leader in certain areas. But on the other end of the spectrum, it's just for particular like technophiles like me, there are things that irk you, like the webcam, like the speakers, like the lack of 4K resolution. So those things right there. So graphics are good, display is good, battery is good. I like the keyboard. Some people have complained about the keyboard. It only has like a 1mm key press here. So not a whole lot. It's not overly loud, so you can hear this while I'm typing. It's not super loud. It's pretty discreet and quiet whenever you're typing on it. So I kind of like it. The only thing is that I feel like the touchpad should be maybe like a half an inch over to the left. I don't know why, but I always feel like my hands are not in the right spot lined up for the keys. I feel like they're just slightly off, and I think that's because of the touchpad. And the touchpad is very large. And I talked about this in my last video. This edge right here is really shallow for the touchpad. I wish that it was a little bit, I wish there was some more padding there. Whenever I use this, when I'm like sitting down and have it up against like my stomach in bed, if you're like laying down or whatever, it's very, very easy to get things stuck on this and press down on it, and then it won't pop back up, or you'll start highlighting things, you'll start copying things, you'll start messing things up. I wish a little bit further north, but they've also got this little groove cut out here to help you open the lid, and I think that's why they have less material right there. Speaking of opening the lid, it's quite easy to open with one hand, so that's good. It doesn't move around a whole lot on the table. I mean, you have to be careful with it. It's super light. It weighs like 3 pounds, but the lid's perfectly fine and easy to open. And from what I read, there is the ability to put another M2 drive in here, so you can add more space. This one comes with the maxed out model of 16 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte hard drive, but it's nice. You can throw in an extra M2 hard drive in there to max out the storage even more, or you can plug in an SD card so you can use some secondary storage that way. All right, so gaming. I made a whole video about this. Didn't really seem popular. Not a whole lot of people have watched it, so I'm not going to touch on this too long. You can play certain games. You can play CSGO, you can play Valorant, you can play League of Legends. All those play really well. You can play certain other games. You can play Fortnite on medium settings. You can't play Call of Duty at all. Don't even try. It's not good, especially Warzone. Diablo 3, StarCraft 2. There are certain games that are not super graphics intensive. It does have the Intel Iris Xe graphics in here, which is like a built-in, it's not a dedicated graphics card. It's part of the integrated chipset, so it's built onto the board. It works well. I haven't had too much of a problem with it. When I was video editing, I really would have liked that extra discrete graphics card in there. It doesn't have it, so you're going to be kind of limited. I did do a 1080p video. I recorded it and I edited the whole video on here using DaVinci Resolve, and I thought that it was in 4K, but it was not in 4K. So when I exported, I'm like, wow, a 9.5, 10-minute video exported in about 25 minutes. I think that's pretty good, especially for not having a dedicated graphics card. Exported, looked at everything, and then when I was looking at the video and uploading it to YouTube, I realized it was 1080p. So 1080p, a 10-minute video is likely going to take you about 25 to 30 minutes max to edit. So I haven't gone to render whenever it exports. I've not gone through and tried it with 4K yet because I spent all that time on the 1080p project. So I'm going to talk about that more later, but you can edit video. DaVinci Resolve works really well. You may have some issues when it comes to 4K just because the video size is so large, especially if you start adding extra elements in. I didn't add much in at all, basic editing stuff, added some music, and 1080p, you can edit it just fine. 10 minutes, probably about 25, 30 minutes for you to export it. So that was my experience with video editing. That was my experience with video gaming. So I like the keyboard, I like the performance, I like the power. The i7, the 11th generation in here, really a good complementary chipset for this laptop. They did a great job with the chipset, with the maximizing and optimizing the performance. It works really well. Multitasking is a breeze, startup is quick, being able to do any sort of day-to-day task, multitasking, running your programs, moving back and forth. It is a seamless experience. I really enjoyed it. It's probably been the most refreshing laptop experience I've had in a long time. So I like this a lot. They did a great job nailing the performance here, and that's one of the things I want to talk about earlier when I say, yeah, maybe not a good webcam, maybe not the greatest sound, maybe not this and that. Fantastic in performance department. If you want a fast, zippy laptop that can handle pretty much anything you throw at it, this is it. They did a good job with that. I also want to talk about the S Pen. The S Pen works well. It's like a dumb S Pen though. It's not like the one that you get with the S21 Ultra. It's not like the one that you get with the Tab S7 series with the motion gestures and all that stuff. It's a simple stylus, but it has a limited multifunction button on here. When you hold it close, you can erase and stuff like that. Works well when the laptop is sitting upright. So when you got the laptop like this, it works well. You can use it kind of like an on-screen mouse. It's really good. I like it. But when you flip the laptop around, the problem is that, who's talking to me? The problem is when you use it like this as a really big tablet, the palm rejection on several apps, especially the ones that are built into Windows, is terrible. It will mess everything up. Like, you have to like hover and keep your hand off of the screen. When it comes to like Samsung's Pinup, it is much better. So I think anything you can get Samsung wise when it comes to drawing and doing things with the S Pen on the screen, much better. When you try to use like whiteboard and some other stuff and the clip art stuff, you will have fits anytime you touch the screen with your palm. Terrible palm rejection. Now, again, the Samsung stuff that's on there, pretty good. The Windows stuff, terrible. As far as using it as a tablet replacement, that's pretty much a no-go. This is not a replacement for my Tab S7 Plus. I learned that very quickly. This is definitely a computer that has a screen that flips around and gives you touch capability. So if you want a computer that has integrated S Pen functionality, that you can do things, that you can manipulate, you can do stuff on the screen, it's very good, but it is not a tablet replacement. And as far as the integration of the S Pen, it's very minimal from what we expect out of a high-performing S Pen. So yeah, I'm glad they have it, but definitely not the most amazing selling feature on here. I find half the time it works just as well touching the screen, but there are certain times where an S Pen comes in handy. You're signing things, you're drawing things, you're doing more creative stuff, you need more pinpoint precision. The S Pen is there, it comes with it, and you can mount it on the back of the screen, which I'm going to show you right now. So we mount it on the back of the screen, right? It stays on there pretty well. Like, I don't really have any complaints. It doesn't fall off unless you hit it, but it is definitely not the strongest magnet in the world. Like, it's not super strong. So you mount it there. It's kind of back out of the way. It's color matched. I talked earlier in my previous video, this thing gets fingerprints and oils and everything all over it. I cleaned it before the video. It still doesn't look amazing. So there is that. Also, when it comes to the Samsung apps, it's really oversold, and you have to look for them. Like, you have to turn on Dolby. You have to go find the Dolby app to turn the Dolby sound on. When it comes to using other Samsung stuff, you have to set it up. Every time it wants to access your Samsung account, it's not like you set it up when you start and then it works with all the apps. Every time you open one of those Samsung apps that it wants you to use, you have to reset it up with your Samsung account and re-log in again. And again, very limited. You have to go look for it. There are a lot of them though. Like, if you go in here and, oh, I forgot to talk about this. Fingerprint sensor is fantastic. Totally love it. Super fast. Really, really good. So as far as the Samsung apps, I can't remember this, so I got to read them. It has a Galaxy Book Experience, Galaxy Book Smart Switch. It has Pen Up. It has the gallery for the photo gallery. I like that. Samsung Care Plus, Samsung Dex. Dex is really not that great. The gallery, notes, Samsung PC Cleaner, recovery, security, Samsung settings, Samsung TV Plus, actually kind of nice. I do like that. The screen recorder. Oh, I love the screen recorder. You can open up the screen recorder, and if you like to do gaming, if you like to do certain stuff and you want to capture the screen, it works really well. The Samsung video editor in here is trash. If you actually are into any video editing whatsoever, get a real video editor. Get Filmora Wondershare, get Adobe Premiere, I think is what it is. Get DaVinci Resolve. There are a lot of options you can edit video on here. The Samsung one, not good at all. Very clunky, very slow, very rudimentary. Not a lot you can do with it. So there are some Samsung apps on here that are very good, like the notes and stuff, and the connectivity between other devices like your phone and your tablet. So I don't want to say they're bad. It's not integrated into the experience as well as you thought it would be for the way they marketed it as this is a laptop that's more like a phone. It's really not. I would like to see a complete Dex with Microsoft underlying support, like a complete Dex overlay. That would be really cool. I would like that a lot. But final thoughts, I like it. Battery performance is good. The overall performance is good. The screen is beautiful. It looks good. Not bright enough when you're outside. The sound, The keyboard, good. I like it. The touchpad, very sensitive, smooth like butter. Gaming, You can play some games. You can video edit it. You can use the webcam. Not all that great. Lightweight, and yeah, I think it's worth the price. I think that they price this well. It's not out of the ballpark. You're not in the $2,000 range. I think it competes well enough to go with like a cheap MacBook Pro, the 13-inch. Not on par at all with the 16-inch, but I think Samsung did pretty good here. There's definitely some areas they could improve. I would like to see them improve if they keep this line of devices moving forward. Next year, I think if they address some of these issues and improve, instead of go back like they did with the Chromebook 2 versus last year's, which was substantially better, I think we'll be good for that. But overall, I like it. It's worth the money I paid for it. I like that I could trade in something to lower the price and offset it. And if you pick it up, more than likely, I think you'll be happy with it. Some people may not be, and I think that Samsung kind of understands that. It's not for everyone. Everyone may not love it, but I like it well enough that I'm going to keep it and keep using it, and it's been helpful for me. So that's all I've got. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section. I'll get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.